This president doesn't want to own his own actions. It's not about gotcha. It's about getting to a better place. And the president's decision to halt funding to the World Health Organization, blaming them now. They're the ones who dropped the ball. They didn't do things soon enough. They were too soft on China from the start. Listen to how he put it, keyword, tonight.
The WHO willingly took China's assurances to face value, and they took it just at face value, and defended the actions of the Chinese government, even praising China for its so-called transparency. I don't think so.
Okay, 2 points. One, he refused to take what was offered to him as face value here, and it was a mistake. Second, praising China for transparency, he says, I don't think so. Really? Listen to what he said about China when he was doing his initial assessment. Quote, China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will all work out well. In particular, on behalf of the American people, I want to thank President Xi. He's also on tape saying the same thing. Listen.
I spoke with President Xi, and they're working very, very hard, and I think it's going to all work out fine. I spoke with President Xi of China, and he's working very hard on this. It's a tremendous problem, but they're very capable, and they'll get to it. I think he's doing it very professionally. I know this. President Xi loves the people of China. He loves his country, and he's doing a very good job with a very, very tough situation.
Okay. So you can't halt funding to the World Health Organization for doing at worst exactly what you did vis-a-vis China. But most importantly, we can't weaken our connections to the rest of the world right now. This has been an ugly and sad reminder of just how interconnected we all are, just how profound the interdependence is. Don't blame the WHO for your own misgivings and your own inaction or a distraction. We don't need that right now.
You're criticizing the WHO for praising China for being transparent, but you also praise China for being transparent.
I don't talk about China's transparency. Well, you know, if I'm so good to China, how come I was the only person, the only leader of a country that closed our borders tightly against China?
Not really an answer to the question, so give us the facts, though.
It's not. Don, I counted 28 words in this Trump claim, and there are 3 false things about it. So number one, yes, he did talk about China and transparency in a tweet on January 24th. He explicitly praised, he said, their efforts and transparency. Number 2, he did not close U.S. borders to China, as we've talked about before. His restrictions had various exemptions for U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and their family members. And number 3, he was far from the only leader of a country to impose travel restrictions on China. The Washington Post did an analysis and found that 38 countries had imposed significant travel restrictions on China. They said before or at the same time the U.S. restrictions were put in place, plus 12 other countries that had less significant restrictions. So basically everything he said to our Caitlin Collins was incorrect here.
Yeah. John, Dr. Fauci wasn't at the White House tonight, but he told the Associated Press that these coronavirus briefings can be, quote, really draining. And then he added this: if I had been able to just make a few comments and then go to work, that would have been really been much better. It isn't the idea of being there and answering questions, which is really, I think, is important for the American public. It's the amount of time. I mean, you can see Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx during the president's tirade yesterday. I mean, this really can't be easy for them to sit through.
No doubt. And there's no doubt that to the extent that these are taken over by the president ranting at reporters or blame casting
for hours,
or doing other for extended periods of time, it's a complete waste of their time. It's a waste of our time, too, to be honest. The value in those briefings for the American public, theoretically, is to bring experts who can tell, here's what's the latest information about the course of this pandemic, what progress we're making, what we're not making, and what happens next. Birx and Fauci are capable of doing that. Mike Pence is capable of doing that and has done that. But the more they're taken over by Trump and used as a vehicle for him to preen and vent and rant and that sort of thing, they're of no value to the public in dealing with coronavirus.
To rattle off company names for 10, however long it was today, I was just, I didn't get it. I didn't understand why. I was like, why do I need to hear all these company names? What does that have to do with anything? Thank you both. Appreciate it.